We continue to preview the 2025 college football season. Our stop today is Goodwell, Oklahoma, as we get to visit once again with Cory Miller, who is the head football coach for the Oklahoma Panhandle State University Aggies, OPSU coach heading for year 3. Let's again talk about year 2 and the record last year, 5-5 overall, 4-4 in Sooner Athletic Conference play. That was the record in 24. That was also the record in 23. Now, Coach, I know the numbers say that it's the same. What do you say? What kind of progress did you all make from year 1 to year 2?
Obviously, when you look at the end result, it looks kind of the same. But for us, it was a big step forward. If you look at the point differential in games, I think a lot of our conference games were decided by almost a touchdown or less. There was 4 games in there, maybe 5 games in there that were decided by that, where we won a couple, we lost a couple. In terms of that, where the previous year, I think our average loss was like 38 points. So when we lost, we usually got blown out. And so we took a step forward. We really wanted to try to get 1 or 2 more wins in there, kind of have that first winning season that, in a little bit. For the program here, but we couldn't close out a couple games, and it's kind of that process where we got to learn how to not beat ourselves and win at the end. And so we took a big step forward in terms of closing the gap between us and a lot of these schools within our conference. And the neat thing about our conference is, obviously Ottawa and Texas West had outstanding years, both ranked in the top 20, went to the playoffs first time, I think. Maybe even sooner, that we've had 2 teams make the playoffs. So it shows you the growth of the league. But then you look at 3 through 8 in the conference, and everyone beats each other. And so we beat LCU beat like Nelson, I think it was. Nelson beat us at the Texas College, and Texas College brought themselves up to the deal. So it's a great conference that's continuing to get better. We have to continue to adjust and improve our process and how we do anything. But on Saturdays in the Sooner, anything can happen.
I believe that. And I want to talk about the numbers. Definitely the numbers play out with that. And it was a fun conference to watch last year, Coach. And I'm sure from your perspective, investments in Rolaids and Tums and whatever other antacid along the way, because it was exciting to watch. In the offseason last year, and I recall us talking about this, you all made a big push for offensive linemen in 2024 and 2025. First off, let me ask, did that pan out for you all? And secondly, in 2025, what was the big push that you were looking toward to bring players in?
So kind of, we needed to, continue to improve on both sides of the offense and defensive line. And we brought in a lot of kind of older transfers last year, which I think definitely helped us, improve our pass protections at times. We did some stuff at times better in the run game. We got a little bit more overall consistency to give. We recruited so many freshmen. We need to give them a little bit of time to get older and get stronger. And you're going to see this year, a couple of them are going to be, probably big time players for us. But they needed that extra year, and those guys were able to kind of give them that grace period. And then we brought in a bunch of D linemen, and now they're all going to be upperclassmen and seniors this year. So we're going to really be able to hopefully reap the benefits of them getting all that experience. But football is a game that starts, up front. Can you reestablish a line, on offense, and can you reestablish the line on defense? And that's what really, a lot of things come down to, is who can win that battle up front. So, every year it's always going to be a focus. We're going to return 4 of the 5 starters on our offensive line. So we're pretty excited about that. We got a couple of young guys that are going to go in and compete with those guys in fall camp for some of those spots. And so I feel pretty good about our 7-8 deep, our 7-8 offensive linemen that can play coming back, which is a good thing with us breaking in some new offensive skill players this year.
Let's go ahead and talk about the offense then, Coach. Looking ahead to 2025, I'll mention some names, especially since you talk about the offensive line returning. That's definitely has to be something that's good. Skill positions from 2024, Brandon Stevens, 4-year starter at quarterback, gone. Martin Blake, D1 transfer, comes in, decent 1 season in Goodwell, gone. Draylon Roberson, All-American player for you, wide receiver, gone. So from the skill position, obviously you're going to have to reset some. It has to be really a big positive to have some of those linemen coming back.
Absolutely. And so, obviously, Brandon's been a 4-year starter, and you're not going to replicate the experience he had. And obviously, he's one of the best athletes in the conference overall as a quarterback. So obviously, we're going to really miss, he's probably one of the best ever put on the red, white and blue for the Aggies. And so obviously, anytime you have that, there's always a big kind of uncertainty, but there's exciting. I mean, we got our quarterback room is, we spent some time finding the right guy, and as anybody that coaches understands, that the person who, takes that snap, it's more than just kind of throwing a football. It's what type of leadership do you bring? Both of our returning quarterbacks, 4.0 kids, they love football. It's a huge part of their identity. Cash got a little bit of time. We had a kid that redshirted that's going to push up there, and we got a couple guys coming in. And so we got, obviously we're going to have inexperience in that room, obviously, because we had a 4-year starter. But the makeup of that room and the talent's the deepest we've ever had. And so we're extremely excited about who we have in that room, not only as who they are as players, but who they are as people. And I think they're going to be able to, now that it's their time to shine, and they've been waiting for this opportunity, and they've been around all summer, and it's excited to see them work, and they're ready to take the reins and try to improve on what we've had there.
We're visiting now with Cory Miller here on Midwest Sports Net as we're previewing 2025, and I encourage you, please take some time and like this video and subscribe to the channel. We talk about small college sports and more throughout the Midwest and beyond. Coach, from the defensive side of the ball, I know you wanted to make some improvements from last season to this season. It sounds like from what you were saying at the beginning that was the case, diminishing the margin, especially when it was on the loss side, diminishing that margin right there. You do have some seniors coming back at least in some key positions. Zayden Hoots coming back, a linebacker, Charles Holmes, a defensive back, a number of interceptions and pass breakups between those two guys as well. Talk a little bit about your defense.
So we got a lot coming back. We got 3 of our 4 starters in the secondary back. We got essentially 3 of our 4 linebackers back. And then we have our entire defensive line back. And so, you're looking at 8, 9 starters. And then on top of there's a couple guys that have been added in the transfer market to improve and compete for spots there. And then we got some younger guys that played a lot of special teams and kind of had some big spring ball for us in the weight room and on the field that are going to push for, sub-package positions and rotation. And so we feel really good about where we're at defensively. A lot of snaps were played last year, and that's what, kind of what we're trying to build on is, a lot of new faces last year. I think we only had 1 or 2 guys that really played on defense the previous year in 23 back. You look at it, we had 37 players, return on our roster from the 23 to the 24 season. We're going to be around low 60s of returners. So we doubled that, from the previous year. So each year's kind of gotten a little bit better for returners, and we got another good, 60, 65 newcomers coming in. So we feel very healthy, 21 seniors. So it's, the only thing we're missing right now is that junior class between me and the previous coach, that missing class. And we feel really healthy about our roster, but defensively, we're definitely going to rely on that side of the ball early on in the season. That's where the experience is at. That's, a lot of guys played football there to kind of maybe help us work out some of the kinks offensively with some of the new personnel.
Coach, one place that seems to be certain, at least from the special teams perspective, and I know you have the return game as well, but your kicker from last season, Carlos Vasquez, you bring him in. He transferred in from Kilgore Junior College. By the way, you have to, I think, federally mandated, you have to say home of the Razorettes. But anyway, 6 for 6. Perfect field goal, 32 of 33 point after attempts. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that at all.
No, Carlos is a big key is coming back. We got a lot of confidence in his ability. Obviously, as coaches, we prefer touchdowns over field goals. But anytime you can come away with points is good. And so, I feel going in the 25 season, he's kicking the ball better than he did the previous year in terms of how it's coming off his foot and the power. He never really kind of done a whole lot in the weight room. And Coach Davis, runs our strength and conditioning program and did a nice job with him. And, he's striking the ball better. And I think we're going to get some more distance on some of his kickoffs. So, we got 2 of the 3 specialist positions. We got a 4-year long snapper coming back with Tatch Brewer. So we're just going to have to figure out the punting situation.
All right, Coach. I always appreciate getting to know more about the program and what's going on out there in no man's land. We get to visit, and you're always a great guest on the channel. But we want to know a little bit more now, as we've asked the question all summer long. What is your favorite 80s song or 80s band?
So I was born in 81, so it's it's probably the 80s. This is actually a true story. It's a little bit embarrassing. Most people that know me probably won't believe it, but the first ever, it was cassettes that we bought, was actually MC Hammer. It was the first one I ever bought. It was probably right there in the 80s, Too Legit to Quit. And then I think in second grade, I had a big crisscross phase. I don't know if anybody remembers them. They wore their clothes backwards.
They'll make you jump.
And I would wear my clothes backwards to school. True story, 100%.
All right, we're breaking this right here on Midwest Sports Net. Breaking news about Coach Miller.
The deal there.
Okay,
that's not all I remember from that time. It's a little young.
Well, you know what? We wanted to get to know you a little bit better, and I feel like we have. So that's the important thing. All right, let's wrap up our time then with looking ahead at the schedule. A 10-game schedule this year, and you are on the road to get things started. August 30th, week 1 at Peru State, out of conference there, and then you get to go out of conference and out of affiliation too, as you head to Marshall, Texas, East Texas Baptist. Play D3 school there, and then back to the Sooner Athletic Conference. There was a bye in between the two. September 20th, you're at home, first time Sooner game, and you get to host OUAZ in that one. So tell us a little bit about the opening to your year.
We had to switch things around with the dropping North American, and so we kind of changed a little bit of the look of our schedule. It actually worked out. We were able to get the full 10 games, but I wanted to kind of get our non-conference schedule, good NAIA team. Peru State won 7 games last year in the Heart. Once again, a 2 playoff team. I thought, getting a good test here. Like East Texas Baptist is a very good Division III school. And then so we're going to get tested right out of the gate with the non-conference. And, that's we want guys to come here and want to play in important games and do that type of deal. We got OUZ. So, you're talking 20-some wins between those 3 programs. So our first 3 games are going to test us. But if we can come out of that, and extremely positive, then it gets into the more favorable / competitive part of our schedule. And so those first 3 weeks are definitely going to battle test us for the remainder of the season. And I always think it's, some people like the idea of it, and there's some good thought process between trying to get, playing down a little bit and early on try to get some wins, build some confidence, and to go play the big teams. I always think it's better to go challenge yourself early, find out who you are, go through that adversity, and then I think it helps you later in the year, and that's when you want to be playing your most meaningful football and playing your best football. And so that's what I'm hoping this schedule this year does by, kicking off with 2 very good non-conference opponents, that around the win mark where we want to get to, and then we got obviously conference schedule. We got to play everybody, and we got OUAZ coming to town, and as everybody knows, they're a pretty darn good football program.
They are, but it's part of that Sooner Athletic Conference slate, and I know that you'll be ready for that, Coach. So we look forward to seeing how 2025 plays out. Coach Cory Miller with the Oklahoma Panhandle State University Aggies, thank you, sir, for taking time with us and previewing 2025. We always appreciate getting to have you stop by the channel.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.